Alright, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Akeem and welcome to today's vlogs. Here to give you 3 vlogs today, continuing off my top 5 players headed towards the 2013 NFL Draft. For the first vlog, I'm going to wrap things up with the offensive side, give you my top 5 centers. Starting at number 5, T.J. Johnson from South Carolina. He was the second team All-SEC selection at the center position, and he works well, his body well, and he has good framework at 6'4", 310 pounds, and he has a lot of experience at the center position. I think he has a little bit of potential to become a Pro Bowler in the National Football League, but he has a couple of weaknesses that he does need to address. Sometimes he does not have good hand placement on his blocking technique. Sometimes instead of having his hands inside of the defenders in the opposition, he sometimes has his hands outside on the edges of the framework of these defenders, which can cause some holding penalties, and he cannot do that. He needs to adjust that a little bit. Also, he kind of has issues mirroring defenders and spacing, and I think the offensive line coach of any team in the National Football League, whoever picks him up, needs to address those issues. I think if he addresses those, I think he can become a good, crisp, decent center in the National Football League. At number 4, I'm going to go with Cal's Brian Schwenke. Sorry if I cannot pronounce his name correctly. He's a good player. 31 reps at 225 pounds. That's pretty good. And he runs a 4.9940. Good speed. He gets off the ball pretty quickly. Obviously, running that 4.49 has that good speed and the quickness to provide assistance on double teams. And he has good awareness of who he needs to help out in that offensive line between the 2 guards on his left and his right. Also, he constantly wins the leverage battle. He's pretty strong. Obviously, having 31 reps, he's a strong athlete, and he will win that leverage battle unless the guy is just a little bit too strong for him, and there are bigger, faster players in the National Football League. A couple of weaknesses for him: he does not have an impressive body type. He is 6'2", 314 pounds. That means he's a little shorter and wider, and that's a little bit of a concern for me. Hopefully he has good stamina and good endurance. Also, he needs to do a better job being able to sit back and hit into his blocks in pass protection situations. He just needs to work on that a little bit, and he will be a great center in the league. At number 3, I'm going to go with USC's Kalen Holmes. He played in front of Matt Barkley for not only during his college football career, but also at Mater Dei High School during his high school years. He's a tenacious player who gets after his defensive lineman, whoever comes in his path. Also, he hustles on every snap. He plays to the end of the whistle, and I like that a lot about this kid. One weakness for him, though, he must play with a more knee-bending technique. He sometimes doesn't get low enough, in which he will not have a good pivot, and that could be a big concern. He needs to get in good position and bend those knees in order to stay and maintain ground level against his opponents. I think he's still a good player overall, and that's why I had him at number 3. At number 2, I mentioned this player in one of my top 5 guards. Number 2 is Barrett Jones out of Alabama. I told you guys he can play both the guard and the center position, and I had to put him at number 2. A great athlete, and that's why I had to go to. He's a great versatile athlete. That's why I had him put him at number 2. And at number 1, Wisconsin's Travis Frederick. He's a thick interior lineman, great experience at the guard position, and he was first team All Big Ten selection, blocking for Monte Ball, one of the leading rushers of the nation for the past 2 seasons, and he was actually the leading rusher a season ago, before last season. Also, he has good moves on his feet. He works his feet pretty well, and he blocks well and on angles. He's a great angle blocker. Now, a couple of weaknesses: sometimes he stops his feet on pass protection. He needs to keep those feet moving in order to work his body in shifting if he has to readjust himself in blocking the defender. Also, he sometimes loses balance, and that is due to the fact that he sometimes stops on pass protection. But I think he will get that taken care of. He just needs to keep the feet shifting when on pass blocking situations. He will sometimes just stop right after contact in pass protection, and he cannot do that in the National Football League. Players will definitely go maneuver around him, and he just needs to work on that. But he is still my top center. He's a great athlete, and I think he will work well for any team in the National Football League. A couple of honorable mentions for you guys: PJ Lonergan from LSU. He's a decent center, as well as Notre Dame's Braxton Cove. I think both of these two players are great athletes. And my sleeper at the center positions, I'm going to go with Youngstown State's Lamar Maddie. Lower division, but he's a high talented prospect in the FCS division, the best center coming out of the FCS division. I think he's a decent player, and I think he will be selected in the late rounds of this year's NFL draft. Now, I have 2 more blogs for you guys. Going to head over to the defensive side with all my top 5 defensive ends and defensive tackles. The next video you will see is my top 5 defensive ends. Thank you for watching this blog. I'm your man, Akeem McCall. Be easy.